The worms crawl out, the worms crawl in and out of your snout. How about that? Welcome to tonight's show. It's been a while since we've discussed some weird aspect of history. I love doing shows like this, but they're seldomly watched. Not that that's the goal here, but this is something I've been wanting to explore ever since I watched The Ugly Stepsister. I don't want to spoil The Ugly Stepsister. Hello, Evie. Welcome. I don't want to spoil what happens in The Ugly Stepsister if you have not seen it. So go watch The Ugly Stepsister before you watch that. Well, no, I mean, maybe you can watch this. It'll be okay to watch this. But yeah. So suffice to say, tapeworms are involved, and it had me go down a bit of a Google rabbit hole. And I thought, wow, this is weird, wild, fascinating stuff. I want to share it with all of you. So that's what we're here to do, what we're here to talk about. From one of my favorite blogs, I love, what's it called? It's called Atlas Obscura. It's called Atlas Obscura, but this is from Gastro Obscura, which is like a sidebar side category of Atlas Obscura, and it's called The Horrifying Legacy of the Victorian Tapeworm Diet, a beauty fad that continues to haunt us, by Mariana Zapata, from October 26, 2016. Now, tapeworms are a very real thing. It's a very real parasite, and there's quite a few aspects that sort of blend into a variety of body horrors that you would think that there would be a whole subgenre of movies just dealing with tapeworms and diets and the places you can go. And The Ugly Stepsister, definitely spoilers, The Ugly Stepsister goes there and gives us one of the most grotesque scenes that I've seen in a movie in a long time, long time. And, it's interesting about tapeworms. They're kind of like, they're a form of karma in a way. Like, it's a seed, literally it's a seed planted, a good intention in hoping that a desired result will be achieved, only for that karma to, exacerbate inside of your digestive tract. And before you know it, you're malnourished and there's all sorts of problems. Victorian women were overly concerned with fitting beauty standards of the day. I don't think much has changed. I think these are still societal issues that all people, not just women, all people deal with in a variety of scenarios. And that is not to minimize what women go through, just to say that it's not unique to women, but that women still do suffer or, deal with these sort of challenges, tributes and tribulation. What am I trying to say? Trials and tribulations. That's what I meant to say. Before we even get in there, let's just take a quick moment to talk a little bit about tonight's sponsor, which is, as always, riotstickers.com. If you need stickers, you can get 1,000 stickers for $79. That is an unbeatable, unforeseen price. You go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. That's FRUMESS. Link will be down in the description. In fact, I think it already is down in the description. And if you wanted some stickers of tapeworms, you could get them there. The stickers are on 3-inch by 3-inch vinyl. They have a UV protection coating, and they're printed, as I said, on vinyl, which makes them kind of weatherproof. And you just can't go wrong with Riot Stickers because they are the bomb.
Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. We are the bomb. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. We are the bomb. We are the bomb. We are the bomb. We are the bomb.
And that is a promise. Okay, it's time. Let's take a look over here. From horrifying foot-binding practices in Imperial China to life-threatening surgeries in modernity. I know how to say that word in my head. I can't say it out loud. Modernity Humanity has been finding harmful ways to modify the body since the dawn of civilization. The Victorians were no exception to this. Real quick, for anybody who's not aware of what foot binding was, this very, oh my God, it was a pretty harrowing sort of practice here. Let me see if I can put a picture of foot binding. Warning, this is a little graphic. Foot binding was like a sign of beauty in China. And this is what would happen to women's feet who would do this practice. Look at that. You're basically kind of crippling your foot so that it fits into a shoe. Here's a picture. Yeah, this is a little graphic. And, this is a woman who did it. And this was like the beauty standard, or the societal standard of the day. And it's obviously very complicated. There's a very complicated legacy, and what does it mean? And, I'm sure there's 1,000 different opinions to foot binding. It from the outside, it looks like something. I'm not going to really comment further on that. I don't really think it's my place to. But it almost deserves its own show. Foot binding does. I mean, look at that. I wonder, I'm not going to sit and do the reading now, but I wonder what kind of crippling arthritis would, come from doing something like this. I would imagine there would be something. Look at that. Look at how the toes are just pushed down. And that's just from, years and years and years of wearing like shoes a certain way. Look how the foot changes. It just, the toes get crushed down. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. And people did that, and what's interesting, it's sort of interesting when you think about thematically about Cinderella and the story of the ugly stepsister in Cinderella, like the original tale, how she's trying, the ugly stepsister, the beauty challenge stepsister has to try and fit into the glass slipper so that she can be taken away. And she hacks off her own toes to do it. And it's like, sort of evocative of these very real life practices. So in any case, back to the tapeworms, the Victorians were no exception to this. The Victorian era, roughly the 1830s to 1900, is notorious for its bizarre beauty standards and the even more bizarre secrets to meeting them. The ideal of the time was modeled after those afflicted by consumption, that is, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is the reason why my whole family, a family of Ashkenazi Jews, left Waterbury, Connecticut, and went out to Colorado, where the weather was warmer and tuberculosis was more manageable, because I had a family member who had tuberculosis. That's why they went out there for him. Pale skin, dilated eyes, rosy cheeks, crimson lips, and the meager and fragile figure. That's where these beauty standards are derived from. Someone saw someone who was really sick. And what's interesting, and I could do a whole deep dive on this. What's interesting is you have in older antiquity, maybe in the Renaissance, I don't quote me on the exact time period, but we look at beauty standards today or in the last century or whatever as, thin is in, like to be thin is a desired thing, which maybe kind of stems from this Victoria era desire of consumption, tuberculosis, the well-being after, having these afflictions. But before that, having a plump frame, being, full-figured, voluptuous, these were more desirable traits. And you see it in both men and women of the time, especially in all sorts of like Renaissance paintings and stuff. And then at some point, someone was like, yo, that tuberculosis frame, bam, I want to split that in two. And that changed everything, right? From swallowing ammonia to bathing in arsenic, which they knew to be poisonous, to using figure molding corsets in a quest for the perfect 16-inch waist. There was no limit to what fashionable Victorians would do. And I'm sure if they figured out a way to remove ribs the way some people do today to get a certain type of figure eight figure, kind of like this, kind of like what you see right here in this figure over here. See how it's sort of squeezed down into like a violin viola figure eight sort of shape. Imagine wearing something to, I mean, this is no different than the foot binding. It's just foot binding by a different name, you know? So, I mean, it seems that, you know, as much as Eastern culture had their own sort of binding, so did, you know, Western culture as well, at least by Victorian standards. So this is an illustration of what Victorian doctors believed to be the consequence of tight fitting corsets. So as you can see, the ribs look like they've changed shape. The intestines have sort of settled into the hips. I mean, it's crazy to think, you know, the lack of understanding in that kind of way. Most of these practices have thankfully gone out of style. There is one gruesome dietary idea, however, that has managed to survive: the tapeworm diet. The idea is simple and gross. You take a pill containing a tapeworm egg. And, you know, tapeworms are parasites, man. And if you ever seen pictures of bears? Let me see if I could find one. Let's see if we can find a picture. This is crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Bear with tapeworm. This is nuts. So check this out. These are bears. Look right here. And they get it. I think they get it from salmon. Look at that. See what's coming out of that bear's ass right there? This bear ass. Those are tapeworms, man. This is a video. I've seen this video. These are tapeworms that are falling out of the ass of a bear, man. Isn't that fucking crazy? Imagine dragging that. That thing is clinging to you from inside of your intestine. And the bears, I don't know. It's got to be itchy, man. I mean, that's gnarly. Look at these tapeworms inside of the scat right there. They come out in the scat and, oh, grisly. I mean, you might have a tapeworm in you right now. This is why you can't eat pork. Pork needs to be cooked all the way through because pork is very susceptible to tapeworms. And so you have to cook pork till it reaches a temperature of 165 degrees, I believe, in order to avoid potentially getting the parasite inside of you. But what if the idea was, hey, let me purposely ingest this creature inside my body? Now, here's the thing. This is what's so crazy about the human body. There are more living foreign bodies inside of your body than there are actual cells that make you up as a person. There are trillions and trillions of bacteria and like all sorts of living things that are in symbiosis with human beings. You are never alone. You may think you are alone, but you are never alone. There are people, there are beings, there are living things that are within you you have a whole interior community that is around. Now, a tapeworm is a little bit more of a complicated creature that's like living inside of your gut and eating the same crumbs that you ate, right? Like, it's not like, hey, this thing is, I don't know what I'm saying. The idea is simple and gross. You take the pill, yada, yada, yada. Once hatched, the parasite grows inside of the host, ingesting part of whatever the host eats. So you're sharing your food from the interior with the parasite. In theory, this enables the dieter to simultaneously lose weight and eat without worrying about calorie intake. Now, for someone like me, especially someone like me who, like, I'm so sensitive to sugar, and sometimes, you know, I break bad and I just go on a sugar binge and I explode, I get puffy. And this first started happening to me about 12 years ago. I started to look at myself and go, oh my God, my metabolism is slowing down. I was like 27, 28 years old. I was like, I can't eat the way I used to eat. I'm actually getting fat. And so I started to try and, you know, I've been in this struggle with sugar ever since. I oscillate. I go through these times where I want to eat sugar, where I don't want to eat sugar. You know, I go on vacation. I just was on vacation. I was eating all sorts of sugar. Now I'm sort of trying to kick sugar-free popsicles. That's a toughie. And why is sugar-free popsicles a problem? Because for me personally, it's not so much that it's not about the sugar or the lack thereof. It's also has to do with the food itself. If it's some sort of like sweet treat or dessert, that's part of the problem. That sort of enables the behavior to continue. That was around the time I got into drinking seltzer, because I was looking for drinks that would, satisfy my, desire to snack while at the same time having a good taste and being 0 calorie, right? And so I would imagine, to bring it all back around to tapeworms, I would imagine how, beneficial, how nice it would be in a perfect world, in the same way that, that people believe that Marxism is a utopic, system that can actually work. And we've seen the horrors of what communism can actually, do, just in the way we see the horrors of capitalism as well. In an ideal world, you would be able to swallow a parasite that wouldn't be harming you in any way, shape, or form, except eating the food that you're eating, and therefore allowing you to eat donuts and cakes and cupcakes and sweets. But, real world pragmaticism never aligns with, the idealistic dream of what we hope and envision. Good intentions never end up working out. And I am a testament to that personally. So, in theory, this enables the dieter to simultaneously lose weight and eat without worrying about calorie intake, but it doesn't work. It does not actually work. Both ideas fit nicely into Victorian ideals, as illustrated by the Ugly Girl papers by S.D. Powers. I think we're going to have to take a look at that real quick. Let's see if we, oh boy. All right. This is not for now, but this is okay. So here's from the Internet Archive right here. This is what's known as the Ugly Girl papers. I'm putting this in the chat for anybody who wants to share along with me. Go through this with me real quick. We'll just do a brief skim. This is 304 pages. Let's see what we have here. Anything? Oh yeah, I can't take a moment. It is amazing. Think about the library that we have access to, because God bless the Internet Archive, man. Well, that's kind of, look, it says the Ugly Girl papers are hints for the toilet. But what is it about? Does it say? No, it doesn't give you a review or anything. Let's see. Turkish baths. Benefits of hot baths. So it's like a beauty book. So I guess they have here. Let's see if we can find it. I wonder if it's in the to Aunt Susan. Of course. Thank you, Aunt Susan. Contents. Oh, you know what we could do? We probably, is there a search button in here? No. Oh, here you go. Here, let's see. Search inside. Tapeworm. That's what we're looking for. Boom. No matches were found, huh? Let's see. Let's go to diet. Diet. There's a lot about diet. Nervous people. Let's see here. A diet. Nervous people should adopt a diet of eggs, fish, soups, and salads with fruit. This cools the blood and leaves the strength to supply the nerves instead of taxing them to digest heavy preparations. Interesting. I mean, this is all pseudoscience now, because we know that this is not true. I mean, people just like made stuff up. They made stuff up before they had science to back anything. Henry Horror Channel says, I'm overweight, which is unhealthy, but I would rather take my chances with diet and exercise, which I do struggle with, but I'd rather do that than purposely swallow a parasite. Doesn't sound safe. Of course. I mean, the bottom line is, and what I always hear whenever I go to doctors, and they, you know what, no matter where I go, I might go to a specialized doctor for my knee, which I did one time. I might go for my physical, whatever. Do you know what I hear from every goddamn doctor? They say the same two things. The two things that I don't want to hear. Take care of your diet, not diet. They don't say diet. They say eat healthy. That's what they say. Eat healthy and exercise. And it seems like it's either the biggest crock of shit in the world, or the bottom line is the Occam's razor. The obvious truth is the best thing for you is to just eat clean, eat healthy, and exercise. There are no shortcuts to health. not even a tapeworm. And this book is not really giving us any good. So let's get back to our reading. Stay on point here. So the Ugly Girl Papers was one of the most popular beauty guides of the era. First and foremost, the guide states that it is a woman's business to be beautiful. So it's like women are, being like inundated with this ideology of like, hey, it is your business to be beautiful. Beauty takes time and effort, and no plain girl could forego the tediousness of beauty regimens if she wanted to find a husband, because that's what it was all about. You got to find a husband. Can't find a husband if you don't look pretty. And these are the sort of, gender ideals that get instilled in women in Victorian age. One can therefore conclude that Victorians were very much willing to make sacrifices to attain ideal beauty, but I don't think that's changed, right? I don't think that's changed at all. Sarah says that Jesus loves me. I'm glad to know that Jesus loves me. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Jesus. One can therefore conclude that Victorians are very much willing to make sacrifices to attain ideal beauty. But like, look at now, it's kind of interesting. We're talking about tapeworms, and obviously there's science behind like all these, they have shots now. You can take the shot or the pill and it burns your fat. And it's not like one of those snake oil things. It's called Ozempic or whatever. They have a few of them, and they're, they really do get results, although we don't know what the long-term effects are. But in like looking at like the bigger picture, even though it's backed by science, even though it's actual science that actually gets real results, how truly different is it from taking a tapeworm? The idea that like it maybe it's a more realistic shortcut that's backed by science, but still a shortcut nonetheless. And obviously, look, there are factors that when you're overweight, if you're overweight, sometimes diet and exercise or eating healthy and exercise doesn't change anything. People have hormone stuff. People have cortisol levels. There's all sorts of reasons. People have emotional eating issues. Like myself, I struggle with emotional eating. So it's like there are all sorts of issues that prevent, what might make for an easy way, or even doing the hard work itself. Like, okay, I'm going to sit and do the hard work, but even if I do the hard work, I'm still not going to succeed in what I'm trying to do. Oh my God. That is the best tasting seltzer, man. Toasted coconut polar seltzer. There's nothing finer. Where was I? But the guide also recommends that women find a quote unquote healthy balance in the pursuit of beauty. So even back then, they're still saying, hey, you gotta be healthy when you do it. When it comes to maintaining the figure or losing weight, the author claims if stout, a girl should eat as little as will satisfy her appetite, never allowing herself, however, to rise from the table hungry, which, even for such like a barbaric time in terms of like, health and health, whatever, like health situations. I mean, that is not unsound advice, right? It's saying like, even if you're stout, calorie, what it's saying, should eat as little as the same as going into a calorie deficit. And all the trainers and workout guys, they'll say, hey, you got to be in a calorie deficit. I hear that all the fucking time. There's no amount of fasting. There's no amount of dieting. There's no amount of anything that will help you more than being in a calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? It means that you're burning more calories than you're ingesting. Meaning, if you burn 6,000 calories, you can eat 5,000 calories, right? Or if you burn 5,500 calories, you can ingest, if you burn 6,000 calories, you can ingest 5,500 calories and you're going to be okay. But if the top number is less, the fuck? Oh, it's an ant. Hello. That ant is so big, it freaked me the fuck out. I was like, can you just, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. You just go over there. I just brushed him off the table. I was afraid I might have done that and smashed him or something. If you are, what the fuck was I just saying? I was talking about calorie deficits. If you're, oh shit, I don't know what I was saying. A lot of Sarahs are here. The best of Burbarin is better than worms, but don't run out of TP. Take it for antihistamine, post-nasal drip, sometimes not metabolism, but I recommend the Daily Detox and Wingman over the Burbarin. I would recommend not taking any health advice from any YouTube live chat section, period. I think you should take health advice from doctors only. Sorry, Sarah, no offense to you. I think that's the best way to go about that. But it's just kind of interesting that, they're basically saying like, hey, you shouldn't, and that's like a rule too. You should never leave the table like hungry. You should be satiated, because if you don't, then you're going to overeat later. That's what happens to you. Overeat later. The tapeworm diet may thus have been the perfect solution. Allegedly, a woman would never rise hungry from the table, yet she would continue to lose weight. All concerns for health and discomfort could be dismissed with the claim that beauty is pain and sacrifices must be made. This is literally the thematic theme. This is the theme of The Ugly Stepsister. Everybody go watch The Ugly Stepsister. So here's like an advertisement right here. I don't know if this is real. I think this might be a fake advertisement. Would you swallow these friends for a fair form? No effects at all. So this shows you all the things that you can eat if you simply take a tapeworm egg. No dieting, no baths, no exercise. Fat, the enemy. And that's the other thing. They're saying fat is the enemy that's shortening your life. I mean, fat might shorten someone's life. That's true. But there's a lot of people. Listen, half of the battle, 40% of the battle is genetics. So if your genetics are that you are a heavy person, or that you do have like a higher whatever biomass, fat mass, whatever you want to say, but like you have good genetics, like as opposed to someone who has terrible genetics and is super skinny. There's lots of factors, man. There's lots of factors, but genetics play a part of that. In any case, it says fat is the enemy, and that is shortening your life, and it can be banished. How? With sanitized tapeworms. Jar packed, friends for a fair form, easy to swallow. I mean, fucking so crazy. Prepared by W.T. Bridge chemist in US. You use a chemist to do that. Send no money. Particulars mailed free. And sacrifices were most certainly made once the desired weight was achieved. Now, to get rid of the now unnecessary parasite. So that's one thing, to get the tapeworm inside of you and have it live and grow. Now you would have to get rid of that tapeworm. You'd have to evict the tapeworm. How would you go about that? What do you got to do? To get rid of the now unnecessary parasite, dieters would employ the same methods as those unwillingly afflicted by the worms. In Victorian England, this included pills or special devices. What kind of special device in Victorian England is going to get rid of a tapeworm? That's terrifying to me. Is it like an extractor, like some sort of metal claw? Like, how else are you going to get at those worms, man? I mean, a pill, and God, what would they put in the pill? The pill probably has lead in it or something. One such invention, created by Dr. Myers of Sheffield, attempted to lure the tapeworm. So they're luring tapeworms inside. This kind of reminds me of a King of the Hill episode I just watched with Bobby and Hank. It's the new season. And Bobby, he runs a restaurant, and Dale, the exterminator, he uses a Judas rat, as he calls it, a Judas rat to catch a rat. So he releases a secondary rat to catch the first rat. Oh, man. Friggin' ants are trying to attack me. Bro. It's so strange when you feel an ant crawling up on your leg. Like, I know it's an ant. I see that it's an ant, but I feel like, what if it's a fucking roach? I don't live in squalor, but we have ants. Who doesn't have ants? People have ants. As long as there's no ants in your pants, that's the key. You don't want ants in your pants. So, all right. So here's a device created by Dr. Myers of Sheffield, attempted to lure the tapeworm. You lure the tapeworm. Come here, tapeworm. Come here. By inserting a cylinder with food. So you would take a cylinder, right? You take a cylinder. This is a cylinder. You take a cylinder that has food and you would stick it inside of the person via it's by inserting a cylinder with food via the digestive tract. So are you shoving the cylinder up someone's ass? Is it going in through the mouth? It comes as no surprise that many patients choke to death before the tapeworm was successfully removed. So people would choke to death trying to get these tapeworms out. Yes, of course, Uncle Jerry and Cousin Doyle's song March of the Megamites was playing in the background while this was happening. Absolutely. So, I mean, that's crazy, man. So people were choking to death before. So you would put a tapeworm in your body. You would reach your desired weight. I guess it must work on some level if people were willing to get rid of it. I guess it did have the desired effect. Nobody actually says that. Should we ask Chat GPT? I'm going to ask Chat GPT. Did tapeworms? I love this about ChatGPT. You can like literally ask ChatGPT questions. You can, and obviously it's not always correct, as it says in a little disclaimer, but it's pretty amazing how you can pretty much get an answer to everything. Did tapeworms actually help people to lose weight? Let's find out, shall we? Yes, but in a way that's more gross and dangerous than it is helpful. Here's what's true. Tapeworms can cause weight loss because they siphon nutrients from the food you eat. Essentially, you're feeding the worm instead of yourself, which can lower calorie absorption. Historically, there are rumors and a few documented cases of people intentionally ingesting tapeworm cysts for slimming, particularly in the early 20th century, when they were even allegedly marked as diet pills in some places. So they weren't even marked as tapeworms. They were marketed as diet pills. The problem is that tapeworms don't just take some calories. They can also cause severe malnutrition, vitamin deficiencies, abdominal pain, digestive blockages, and in rare cases, life-threatening complications if the larvae migrate to the brain. So sometimes they would migrate to the brain, and that's known as neurocystic cirrhosis. So while weight loss can happen, it is an uncontrolled, unhealthy loss that comes with a high risk of permanent harm. You'd basically be trading body fat for a parasite-induced health crisis. That is crazy. Okay. It's saying, if you want, I could tell you about one of the most famous historical tapeworm diet cases and how it ended. It's pretty wild. Please do. This is why I love ChatGPT. Let's listen to what ChatGPT has to say about this. Here, the tapeworm diet craze, early 1900s. The most notorious story involves, of course. So there's a paper. There's a whole, I was just reading about this. There's a paper on this. Okay. This is like a simplified version of, let me see if I can find it. No, I can't. Here it is. I was just reading about this. So this is like the paper about this, the tapeworm and Maria Callas diet, a mystery revealed. So this was something I actually decided not to use for this show, and now it's bringing us back around. Let's look at the story in a nutshell. We're not going to read through the whole thing. The most notorious story involves opera singer Maria Callas in the 1950s. She was known for her dramatic weight loss, about 80 pounds in less than 2 years. Gossip magazines claim that she had swallowed a tapeworm to shed pounds. Callas herself denied this, and no proof was ever found, but the rumor stuck for decades because her transformation was so extreme and rapid. However, there were actual documented tapeworm treatments in history. Wait a minute. Oh, fuck. That's bullshit. It said to, man. In the 1910s and 20s, certain shady mail order companies in the US and Europe sold sanitized tapeworm cyst pills. Whether these capsules contained real cysts or just laxatives is unclear. Many were likely scams, but a few did infect people. A 1922 medical report from the American Journal of Clinical Medicine details a woman who admitted taking a tapeworm pill from a reducing specialist. She did lose weight, but also suffered severe anemia, intestinal inflammation, and near death before the doctors removed the worm. The twist: some historians think the whole tapeworm diet trend was partly exaggerated, a mixture of tabloid sensationalism, urban legend, a few real but dangerous cases, It's not like pharmacies openly sold tapeworm slimming kits on every corner, but enough shady suppliers exist to make the story believable. Yeah, I don't know. Let's keep reading the article here. So people choked to death before this tapeworm was successfully removed. Other folk cures prescribed holding a glass of milk at the end of either orifice and waiting for the tapeworm to come out. So you could lure your tapeworm out with a glass of milk. Imagine holding a glass of milk before your bare asshole and waiting for a tapeworm to crawl into it. Whether this actually holds any validity remains an issue of debate, as we have yet to prove that parasites have a preference for bovine lactose. That's hilarious. That's a great sentence right here. Let's read that again. Whether this actually holds any validity remains an issue of debate, as we have yet to prove that parasites have a preference for bovine lactose. What's scariest about this diet is not that it may have been used by the same people who were willingly ingesting carbon, but that its idea continues to be around, like air pollution and zombie films. It simply refuses to die. Its presence is evidenced by numerous online forums dedicated to the question of the diet's efficiency and the fairly dubious reports of modern clinics that will give you the treatment for a couple $1,000s. I mean, you don't actually hear about like real situations where it happened. With both Victorian and modern dieters, the actual popularity of this radical diet is murky. Historians disagree on whether people actually ingested tapeworm pills or whether the advertised products were simply placebos meant to dupe desperate people. I mean, more likely than not, that's probably what they were. Likewise, reports on tapeworm clinics are hard to believe, as most of the testimonies of its advocates. Moreover, rumors of stars like Maria Callas losing weight with the diet have often turned out to be simple manipulation of the facts. It seems that at no point of its history has the tapeworm diet been an actual fad. This doesn't negate, however, that there are people willing to try it. If the tapeworm pills of the Victorian era were indeed a farce, it does not change the fact that when people bought and swallowed them in the hopes that a gigantic worm would live inside their digestive system. Likewise, a simple Google search on the diet will pull up dozens of diet blogs that cover the topic. The comment sections will take you on a sad, humorous trip full of obvious scams and willing participants asking for more information. Even reality TV star Khloe Kardashian once suggested that she wanted to get a tapeworm on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That doesn't surprise me. The statement evoked an article from Vice on the legitimacy and the dangers of the diet, claiming concern for public health. The FDA has officially banned tapeworm pills. Unrealistic expectations of female beauty, though, retains a parasitic grip on pop culture. The story was updated with minor edits on October 8th, 2020. Man, I love me some Atlas Obscura. They just have they really do have the best articles. That's all I got for you. We've been holding on to that one for a while. I'm glad to get it in the can, and we'll be back very soon with another episode. In the meantime, peace, hair grease. We'll see you next time.